So you're coming to you in 3, 2, 1.
In January, Jack was host of this show, Skeletor was NASA administrator, and New Glenn had yet to fly. Boy, have things changed. I'm your host, Sawyer Rosenstein, and this is the last flame trench of the year. Roll the intro.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, Atlantis.
100 towers to fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
Orange 25. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Ready?
Decollage. Look at that. Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If the methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
10, 9,
Yikes. Safety red. We don't need any more of these.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Flame Trench. This is our weekly news show where we go over all of the things that we found interesting and important in spaceflight, give our opinions, make some dumb statements, and I make a lot of puns. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I will be your host for this episode of the Flame Trench, as we are just a couple weeks away from the end of 2025. Boy, what a year it has been. So glad everyone is with us for it. Seeing those 5x5s in chat that you can hear me. And of course, I won't be the only one that you can hear. Now, I said January when I mentioned the intro. If we go back to the first Flame Trench of 2025, we have the exact same team here today, except the person that was hosting that first Flame Trench of the year is joining me on commentary as EJ. How's it going, EJ?
Well, I remember that there was a bowl of pudding. What?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? What's going on, everybody? It's good to be here. How you guys doing? Sawyer, how you doing? You doing all right?
Doing all right, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, good reference to the previous NASA administrator.
We're talking about Skeletor. Yeah.
That was a good Bill Nelson impression. I appreciate it.
Well, doing an impression of him is as easy as falling off a log into a bowl of pudding.
Why do I now want pudding? Thanks, EJ.
You are welcome, young man.
Also, on that first Flame Trench of the year, we were joined by Alex, who joins us once again today. How's it going?
I'm really looking forward to EJ imitating Jared.
I can't. How am I going to imitate Jared, dude? He talks normally.
Sure, okay, but he's behind you. Look behind you.
No,
he's right behind you. Yes, yes, he is.
No. I don't want to look. He's right behind me, isn't he, chat?
Breathing over your shoulder.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
Hey, Max, you look different.
Hello, everybody. This is me, Max Evans here. Hey.
There you go. Well,
Max
apparently you can.
sounds like that.
I guess if you do an impression of Jared, because he's originally from New Jersey before going to Pennsylvania, you can just go, "What am I, chopped liver?"
Hey, what am I? I'm chopped liver. Hey, look, I'm Sawyer. All right.
I do say that he's like when he talks, he does the whole thing of like, no, like this whole thing in his speech patterns. I don't know. Whatever. I just seen too many hearings with him in the last month. Let's talk about that, shall we?
Yeah, that will be our first topic, but I do need to make a crazy announcement here. We have a new producer for today's Flame Trench. This is their first time producing this show. It's a name you may recognize, D Wise, pushing the buttons, pulling the levers today. Everyone showed D some love in chat. producing their first public stream the other day with the Electron launch, and now throwing them right into the deep end with TFT. So, on that note, let's ask for 60 different assets, change cameras 10 times, and drive D crazy. Sound good, guys?
Yeah.
I can do that. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's start things off with the, I would say the elephant in the room, but it's more the person behind EJ. Let's talk about NASA's newest administrator officially, Jared Isaacman.
Yeah, baby. All right, so Jared Isaacman was confirmed a little bit earlier this week as the 15th administrator of NASA. There was a vote last week that was from the Commerce, Justice, and Science Committee to move it to the Senate, and then the Senate had another vote for ending the debate on Jared Isaacman for cloture, and then had the final vote, which was 67-30.
6-7.
I don't know. It seems pretty hung there. Sorry.
Can we talk about the three that didn't vote at all? Because two of them were Republicans, and if they had voted, it would have been 69.
Well,
But
he was actually
6-7.
in a dual confirmation with Douglas Weaver for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and he got 69 votes. So
the
Isaacman
other
got
two
67, and the other guy got 69. Yeah, very strange.
Shout out to the Iowa senators, because they were the two that didn't vote. Just saying. I was there recently, and so, yeah.
Anyway, so it's very interesting, guys, because this is kind of, you don't really get NASA administrator confirmations this late into the year. Jared Isaacman was originally nominated by the president way back in January. There was a Commerce, Justice, and Science hearing on April 9th of this year. And then right before they wanted to vote, the Senate wanted to vote to confirm him as NASA administrator back in April, the nomination was pulled from the president. The president pulled the nomination, which is not something that happens very often or ever, to my knowledge, with a NASA administrator. I can't speak for the rest of the political machine that is Uncle Sam. I have no idea. So it's interesting because Jared was kind of in a holding pattern for pretty much all throughout the late spring and early summer. And then he got renominated, and we went through the process here, and they actually got everything done in about 2 weeks, which is, from the nomination to all the Commerce, Justice, Society, the vote for cloture, then the vote, then the actual vote. But yeah, now he is the NASA administrator. He's he did outline some of his goals on X in kind of like an acceptance post, I guess, if you will. His goals center around the mission, integrity, urgency, and inspiration. And he also will be giving his salary as NASA administrator to the space camp, which is, all right, that's pretty cool.
How much is that? Do we know?
I think it's somewhere above 200 G's, but that's, don't quote me on that. I don't know my government pay scales. So it's very interesting because with Jared Isaacman's confirmation, the president rolled out a new space policy. The space policy basically says get Americans back to the moon by 2028 or earlier, and establish a nuclear-powered moon base, amongst other things, on orbit, on the moon or in orbit by 2030, which is, I mean, that is I think that goal is bold enough. That's good enough. That's actually kind of realistic, right? But yeah, Jared Isaacman is a very out there kind of pick for an administrator in general. You've probably heard us talk about it on past Flame Trenches, but the quick story is that he is a self-made billionaire. He founded a company's parents' basement called Shift 4. Shift 4 deals with electronic transactions at point of sale, which be like the pin pad that if you go to the grocery store, you have a little pin pad, that kind of stuff. And then from there, he was able to parry that into a bunch of other endeavors, a lot of them very philanthropic. So like he does a lot of work with St. Jude promoting pediatric cancer research. And also he's a commercial astronaut. He's flown to space twice already, both times on SpaceX crewed Dragon, one for the Inspiration 4 mission and one for the Polaris Dawn mission. The Inspiration 4 was the first all-commercial mission ever. No NASA astronauts are involved. And then the Polaris Dawn mission was the first commercial extravehicular activity ever. It was the first time a full commercial mission went out. Anybody on a mission went out of the spacecraft. Now, albeit it only went out a little bit, but it did produce some pretty awesome pictures. Both of these missions each raised about $250 million for pediatric cancer research. Jared's also a pilot. He owns a fleet of fighter jets at this point. He's known for flying around in his MiG-29. Guys playing GTA Online in real life. It's just, I'm just going to my private hangar, just MiGs and F5s and Alpha jets, and I think he's restoring a Panavia Tornado too for the Av geeks out there, which is just like, oh well, I have all these too as models, planes, right? So I mean, it's kind of a step in a crazy direction because, in the past, we've, take the past NASA administrator, like Bill Nelson. He's a career politician. And he was, I believe, if I'm remembering, a senator from Florida. Yeah, he was a senator. Senator Administrator Nelson. That's how I remember that. So, sorry. So this is actually a big deal. Jared Isaacman is very ideologically motivated, and he really wants to return NASA to be in the business of working on the cutting edge, which is actually super cool. Guys, what do you think? I think Jared will be a good pick. I really do. There is some stuff that I'm like, okay. But Alex, what do you think, dude?
I think we're gonna agree that he's probably better than Sean Duffy. I saw a lot of memes about this of like everyone in the space community is pretty much, agreeing that probably I will choose Jared over Sean Duffy. Yeah.
I mean, Alex, it's kind of interesting, dude. I wasn't, this is going to be a very unpopular opinion. I didn't really actually mind Sean Duffy until he did the whole DOT NASA thingamajig. That was really where I was like, okay, you lost me, dude. I will say this, and I'm willing to say this here. I do appreciate that, something, you can say whatever you want about Sean Duffy, but yeah, the DOT NASA thing was just but when he was kind of put in as the interim acting administrator, the guy was on Fox News, CNBC, CNN, talking about NASA's goals, talking about what they want to do. When nuclear power plants were first proposed on the moon, he did the rounds on every news show telling people about it. And, I must admit, dude, I don't hate that. I don't hate it having the NASA administrator going on and, telling people what NASA's doing, telling people what the goals are. I really do appreciate that outreach. Like, honestly and truly, I do. The DOT thing was kind of... I don't appreciate that in any way, shape,
People
or
are
form,
agreeing with me in chat, though. Somebody say anybody could be better than him.
Yeah, he lost me
Poor
at the
guy.
DOT thing.
We're probably being too harsh, but it's true. I mean, one of the things that I'm sort of thinking about is that the last two administrators were or had at least a career in politics, right? And they more or less were able to navigate through Congress, right? It's going to be interesting how that's going to play out with Jared. It was interesting to see his two hearings, the one in April and the one most recently a couple of weeks ago, sort of doing this back and forth with the senators and things like that. I think that was probably like a bit of a taste of what we're going to see probably in the next year. There's going to be all of these hearings about the fiscal year 2026 budget for NASA and multiple other fiscal years as well. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. It's one of those things that I'm really interested, because again, previous to where politicians either recently or at some point in their lives, right? So we'll see what happens. It's sort of we're sort of back to when Bolden was the administrator, was like, well, he was a previous astronaut, right? He was at NASA and whatever, and then we put up we had Jim Bridenstine and everything was like, oh, he's a politician. There shouldn't be politicians running NASA, blah blah blah. And then it turned out to be okay-ish, like I don't know. And then with Nelson, it was like, yeah, sure, he he was able to.
Okay-ish.
There were a few things here and there, but overall, I feel like, it came out to be better than what we thought when it started, in my opinion. With Bill Nelson, it was like, things just continued. Like, he could have said, let's just kill Artemis, right? Like, let's just remove all of these things that happened during Trump's first term. And he just kept the ball rolling. He kept, these programs, and we had the HLS contract for Blue Origin, for example, because he pushed to have a second lander and things like that. Like, these sort of things happen also under him, and he was able to get the budget for it. To be fair, like, Jim Bridenstine couldn't get that budget out of Congress, and he was able to. So, like, we'll see what happens with Jared. Of course, that is sort of my main thing in my brain. There's like a bunch of other things, of course, but those are in the past. Like, oh well, he was on the SpaceX stuff and whatever. But it's like, well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna ride on a Starliner? Trampoline? A broomstick?
No one's gonna do that, but
Yeah, right. So like, I don't know. It's just mood, I think. Yeah. Anyway,
I'll be honest.
go ahead.
I think
Sorry.
Bridenstine deserves more credit personally. I really liked his style when he was running NASA at that
Agreed.
point. It really pushed us. I mean, yes, it drove us into a mostly commercial game, which we're kind of paying for now, but what we did get out of commercial at the time was impressive.
Wait,
And,
what do you mean, Sawyer?
well, I mean,
By the commercial, like Jim pushed for more commercial? What do you mean?
that was the era where we saw commercial spaceflight kind of take off, and I feel like that's what led NASA to say, oh, let's make everything commercial rather than do it in-house.
With
I don't know,
Jim?
that's my thought.
Okay.
Well, it was kind of what Jim inherited, but still. Anyway.
Yeah, I think-
I think he did a good job. I'm agreeing with you for what it's worth.
I really liked his time. I'll say that.
My only thing, which that's why I said ish, were a couple of things regarding commercial crew, for example, when he got mad at SpaceX because SpaceX was doing this whole presentation on Starship right around they were sort of, fighting with problems of Crew Dragon or whatever. And he got mad at that, and then 2 months later, Starliner didn't even get to the station, and he was like, oh, it's okay, there were things that were right and whatever. And I didn't feel like that was the right approach. Maybe because hindsight is 2020 and whatever, and that was also 2020 when it happened.
Yeah.
But, and then also around SLS and things like that, you were mentioning, moving HLS, because at the time there was this whole pressure of having the lunar landers as cost plus with big contractors and things like that. I was hoping that a similar thing was going to happen with SLS. We talked about this in the pause show, like last week's Flame Trench. After the Flame Trench, we talked
That was a
about
good
this with
conversation,
Mendes.
Alex.
Yeah, where I mentioned that, I think it's too late. Like, you can think, well, Jared might try to like speed up SLS production, right, to satisfy Boeing and Lockheed Martin and all of these older companies. Like, may try to lit a fire under their boosters, I guess, and
is it,
try
a Soyuz?
and try to speed up the production so that we can get, instead of one launch every 3 years or something like that, we can maybe get a few more more often, I guess. I don't know how, like, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. That will be amazing if we get to that point. But that's one of the other things that I was hoping was going to be done on Jim's first or rather Trump's first term under Jim. He sort of tried, but it never got anywhere, and then when Nelson took over, it was like dead. So yeah.
That's a good way. That's a good way to explain that.
So
essentially.
Let me look forward a second. I'm sorry, Dee, to do this to you, but when you get a chance, if you could bring up that Instagram post that Jared had made There was a couple interesting things that I found in that. He basically outlined what he wants to do as NASA administrator in short little bullet points. And I think it gives you a good idea of what he's hoping to do. Thank you, Dee. So mission, again, championing the bold objectives of human space exploration, scientific discovery, and a thriving space economy to ensure America's leadership in space. I like this line. We will never again give up our capabilities to reach for the stars. Integrity,
baby.
so opening up transparency without personal gain, covering every cost I'm legally permitted to, fully adhering to my ethics agreement. Urgency is something that I think NASA is lacking a lot of right now. It's very nonchalant. I will intensely focus the agency on achieving the near impossible, the very reason NASA was established in the first place, eliminating bureaucracy that impedes progress and empowers the best and brightest to take ownership. And the other one that I think NASA's really been lacking on, which is crazy because that's the other thing they were entirely built on, inspiration. Every launch, every scientific breakthrough must inspire the next generation to dream bigger. So does that mean that we have a chance maybe at saving science with that last bit? Because we do have a super chat question coming in from an Ethereal Swordsman asking, are Chandra, Roman, Fermi, Veritas, and Da Vinci Plus, yes, I said Da Vinci intentionally, still in danger of cancellation? I think Dragonfly and Neo Explorer were already safe, if I remember correctly. What does this mean for science?
I think so. We don't. It's hard to say. Like, that's a little bit vague. I mean, if I'm going off what we read from his Project Athena kind of outline, and keep in mind, guys, Project Athena was kind of like a draft of like what Jared Isaacman wants to do. And NASA, it's from way earlier in the year, and it's very tentative. It was not supposed to be like the final thing of what they're going to do. But Sawyer, I think that, I think science is safe. I think it's safe. Like, let's just get that out of the way. I don't think that this stuff is going to go the way of the dodo. I really don't. The reason why is because what Isaacman wants to do, as far as I can tell, I could be wrong. This is, Project Athena was very vague. These statements are kind of a little bit on the more vague side here. Like, it's like, I want to fix everything. It's like, okay. All right. I think that Jared wants to leverage university research, that's kind of what NASA already does to an extent with like grants and SBIRs at like the university level. So I think science is just fine. I think what Jared Isaacman wants to do is utilize universities to kind of help drive NASA's scientific goals. And that is a little bit of a difference because NASA's scientific goals are usually derived from what's called a decadal survey. And switching it over to university research allows you to leverage science faster. Whether that will actually work or not, like that's all theoretical, right? Whether it actually works or not, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think science is safe. Alex, do you think the science missions are safe with Jared? I think they are.
I mean, it depends on what you mean safe, right? Mm-hmm. As in, is NASA gonna completely stop to do science and everything? I don't think that's gonna happen. I am worried about a few things in particular. I know it's probably not even the closest to the fullest of details when the Athena thing leaked recently, and it was sort of to summarize a little bit the few things. It was in particular like trying to concentrate on pretty much like, dumping a lot of the science projects to commercial entities. And it's like, I see that point. Don't get me wrong. I see that point. But there's also a point for bespoke and really specialized science and science missions, because sometimes, commercial applications, they might be too general, right? They might be for a whole other sort of thing, right? That might not be fully valuable for certain aspects of science, like, Earth observation, for example. I'm just putting that example as many that there could be in this case, in the sense that, NASA may be focused on one thing in particular. Like, there might be one thing that is really the thing that they want to observe, but they have to go through a lot. Like if they go through commercial providers, they have to go through all of this data that is much wider in scope, you know. And it just feels to me, to put perhaps another more even important example, what if we just put a bunch of small telescopes in space and we replace the James Webb with that? And it's like, well, but maybe those smaller space telescopes don't have, you know, the big mirror and the big infrared, you know, the Miriam and all of those different detectors and instruments that the space telescope has. Like sometimes I feel like the problem, like I see his point. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like the way to tackle some of the problems with these huge milestone and like flagship missions, science missions at NASA, might not have to do with like, oh, let's just go all commercial. Let's just go all, you know, the Dan Golding approach, I guess. Cheaper, faster, and better, whatever. I do agree that for the majority, that could be a solution. But there's still problems with these big flagship missions, right? Like, why is it that JPL did Curiosity and Perseverance? They're still running around. They did Spirit and Opportunity. They ran on Mars for years, way longer than they were expected. It was more or less on time, more or less on budget. It was expensive, sure, but it was done on time, more or less, and more or less on a certain budget. But then you have Mars Sample Return, and it's, I mean, you can imagine the word that I'm thinking about. It's not great, right? So how can it be that this big, like, suddenly you have this big mission and then it becomes this way? And James Webb, it happened the same. Like, it kept delaying. So, like, it's amazing. It's an amazing telescope, and it was very much needed and everything. But you have these big science missions that it doesn't matter that you go to a commercial entity or that you go to, like, you really need a way to find the exact problem and cut it from the root. Like, just like solve it. Go down to the root of the problem and just, you know, heal that thing, because it really is a big problem lately for big NASA programs, and I don't even know how can that happen. And it's very risky. Like, I mean, I just put the example, Curiosity and Perseverance. Perseverance was like 5 years ago, and it's working well. It pretty much, again, you know, it delayed a little bit, but not that big, pretty much comparable with other science missions and whatnot. There's a bunch of other flagship missions as well that are going more or less on time, but these big missions just delayed so much. Why is that the case? Put up an investigation or something. That will be my idea, but I don't know. No, Jared.
Yeah. And by the way, we have, you can see Bethany Stevens there with the post NASA.
Sawyer, who's Bethany Stevens, just for the people that might not know?
You tell me.
She's the leader of NASA. She's the new leader of NASA's communications.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just not used to seeing Spocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she's might be from Vulcan, which means she's super educated and logical. Use the
see there it
Force.
says, Jared Isaacman is having his first town hall internally with NASA employees to foster a culture of open discussion and mission-first collaboration with his team. We understand there's a great deal of interest in what will be said in today's town hall. As such, we will be releasing it in its entirety following the event. NASA is committed to open communication, but agency-wide workforce meetings serve as an important purpose of allowing employees a direct line of communication and candid conversation with the administrator without outside influence. Interesting. So it's the first time I'm just seeing this. I mean, I appreciate the transparency. That's another thing, and I hope I don't get my press credentials revoked, but it feels like NASA's transparency lately has been a bit lacking. NASA's been doing cool stuff, and we don't get to hear about it. Sure, we lost a month of communications with the government shutdown. I understand that part, but it's like we have all of these science missions still ongoing. You hear nothing about. We have astronauts constantly on the space station. We don't hear much about it. All we know is that they've started consolidating social media accounts. So it's not like we even have all the different ones for ISS specifically, for astronauts specifically, for all these different ones. It's kind of just generic. And as a result, I feel like some of these things get lost in the wayside. So I kind of like this idea of the transparency more. Same thing with the Orion heat shield. I know that was one of the big things, was more transparency on how that was going. I hope that's a trend that we see going forward.
Well,
Yeah, but then
so-
it's super redacted.
Hey, it's something.
I mean, Brittany Stevens is part of Jared Isaacman's plan to make NASA less top heavy, and that's what all that. I think Sean Duffy did end up doing that. That's why all those accounts were, all those different NASA accounts from all over the place were consolidated. And I think Brittany Stevens is, she's the head of NASA communications, and I think she is spearheading this new communication strategy. So, if this new strategy works, Sawyer, and us, we're us in the press pool. Like, if we get that, gives us more access, man. Yeah, this will be great. I really hoping this works. Like, I like knowing things. I don't like seeing NASA be like, oh yeah, here's the document about the heat shield, and everything is blank. Yeah, we had to take some bits out. It's like, okay.
Just like from the heat shield.
Yeah, the heat shield stuff, I'm still like, I don't know, man. I'm on the fence about that. But that's a conversation for another flame trench.
Exactly. Which would probably be sooner than later, given the whole February current target date. But still, I do want to point out there was a poll that went out in chat. Happy about Jared leading NASA. 83% said yes, 1% only say no, and 16% say to be decided. I find that fascinating, the faith that people have in Jared here. I just hope we get the Hubble return mission on the books, just saying.
Yeah.
I know that somebody he petitioned NASA for originally, and NASA said no thanks, but now that he's in charge of NASA, hopefully that petition goes back into place. Just my 2 cents.
Guys, yeah, like I said, we get better communications and stuff. Yeah, but I really do like, just a little bit of a shifting gears here. I really do like how Jared Isaacman is championing nuclear propulsion and nuclear power in space. That is that's really good. Now, I'll be honest with you, he's not a proponent of nuclear thermal, which is what EJ likes, but
I do like nuclear electric, but
nuclear electric isn't bad. Yeah, if you're going to come along with something like a Vasimir drive, which basically is a engine that makes plasma and it shoots plasma out a nozzle. That okay.
yeah.
All right, if we want to roll along with that, I'm cool with that. That's like some Star Wars stuff.
If you're gonna haul up into space a nuclear reactor, at least make it super efficient with an ion engine. It's like
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
because you're hauling a lot of dry mass. If you compensate by having an ion engine instead of a nuclear thermal engine, then that's essentially what nuclear electric is, right? It's like you have an ion engine, and instead of having your main energy being drawn by the side note, I actually seen proposals to have a hybrid of this, of having nuclear thermal and nuclear electric propulsion, having both at the same time. But because you can use the same reactor that produces the energy for the electric thrusters to also be running an actual thermal nuclear engine, but whatever.
Yeah, you have a nuclear thermal rocket giving you the electric power to use electric propulsion as your RCS essentially. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think we should do that. But I mean, who knows? Like, see, like, here's the thing, guys. We could sit here, we could discuss different points of what Jared was talking about. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be sweet. But, yeah, that'd be good. Fusion's just 5 years out, right? Like,
well, good thing of rocket engines is you don't need to contain anything. You just get it out of the engine.
That's the scientific description, right?
Because the problem of nuclear fusion on Earth and the containment and everything, it's like you need to contain it for long periods of time. But it's like, this is an engine. You just actually need to let it out through a nozzle. So it's already open. Like, you don't do it. Like, you don't really have a problem.
I know it's just an executive order that was put out, and most executive orders are about as good on paper as they are as toilet paper. But I like that there's a directive, at least. There's a direction to go into, and I want to see that we finally have dates again. Yes, the whole moon in 2028 feels like we're copying Kennedy-esque. The whole beat China thing, we've beat that to death on this show multiple times. But it's nice to see that there. It's really nice to see that nuclear is built into that. I'm excited for the future, I will say. I did vote that to be determined, but I'm very optimistic at least.
What is this? And that foundation
That's
is built
the
to
wording.
shift resources towards the near impossible that no one else will work on, like nuclear electric propulsion for efficient transport of mass, active cooling and cryogenic propellant, surface power, and even potential DoD applications. I mean, yeah, it'd be great.
That was in relation, I believe, to the Athena leak. So
Yeah, I'd like to add that. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good thing to just top on. That his tentative plans for NASA from Project Athena was leaked. That was never supposed to be a public document, but he's always said that it's tentative. Like the guy hasn't like changed it. You know, be like, oh no, it's what I want to do. No, wait, never mind. He's been pretty straightforward from the start. You know, even when it was, when it was leaked, that it was, this is all tentative stuff. It's, I do like Sawyer, I agree with you. I like the dates. Having dates is what puts NASA to work. If you don't have dates, and if NASA doesn't have a date, if NASA doesn't have a solid goal, at least for the human spaceflight aspect of things, and a good purpose to do it, we get. I hate saying this, but we get basically what happened during the shuttle. It's like, okay, what are we doing? Oh yeah, maybe we'll service a couple of satellites. Maybe we'll build a space station later or something. Like maybe I'll do this. Maybe do that. No. Having a clear-cut goal is really good. That's really good space policy. That is, yeah, I'm with you, man. The dates by 2028, I think that's a good goal. It's bold enough to start leveraging the systems, space flight systems to get done what we want to do, but it's still something that we got to do. Like we don't have a lander right now. It's still, we're moving there. Alex, we don't have a lander, right? Like maybe we'll have one in a couple of years. We'll see.
Yeah. Look at the date of that. On the left. December 11th, 2017.
oof.
So that's Space Policy Directive 1. And that was signed during Trump's first term. What makes it interesting with this executive order that was released this week is that there's a few things that are sort of reinforced with it, right? The whole thing of like going back to the moon and everything, and keeping the 2028 target. But also, Space Policy Directive 1 was supposed to open again the National Space Council, and this executive order actually canceled the council. So that is really interesting. That ever since I think
which executive order? The one that
the one that was released this week. Yes.
Canceled the NSC, huh?
Yeah, it canceled the National Space Council, and so that was interesting because it was Trump that brought it back. I think from the first Bush era, I think it was.
The NSC is something that went through all the way from like Kennedy, like the 60s, all the way into the 90s. Yeah. Bush 1 got rid of it.
Yeah, so it was interesting because he sort of put a lot of emphasis into that, and it was made sort of as a way to coordinate, especially because there was this whole thing of like trying to set up the Space Force, and so having a way to coordinate civil and military applications and all that. So that's interesting, especially now that we're getting close to this. But also, we already had a target. And we're talking about the 2028 target and everything. 2019, when Artemis came around, because that was the year that Artemis was born. A few months before that, they set up the whole thing of like, let's land in 2024 and all the stuff and everything. It's like, will 2028 be met?
I don't think they were able to land in 2024 because the president didn't have a second term then. Do you know what I mean?
A lot of things happen with the changing of the guard there. You have to basically redo your entire policy every time there's a new president.
And the real key is trying to make a policy that withstands different administrations. You know, you can say whatever you want about SLS, but it's bridged at this point. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 different presidential administrations. Pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, if you count that one of them kind of looped back again, yeah.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, that's what I mean. I would. Yeah, yes, that's what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah, Trump 1, Trump 2, Obama, and Biden.
Yeah, that's right.
So
There is a way to make sustainable spaceflight policy. We just got to make sustainable spaceflight policy that does something.
I do recall. So sorry for like mentioning last week's post show, because it was like we did have a whole conversation about deadlines and everything, and I think it was Max who brought up the point of like, it doesn't matter that you put up a deadline if you don't really have if you don't meet the deadline and nothing happens, then what's the point of meeting of whether meeting or not the deadline, right? Like
Get paid.
getting
Read
paid.
Read more of the policy. It's in there, dude.
Okay.
There's consequences for not meeting these goals outlined in that policy. I don't remember where it is specifically. I'll have to go look,
But then there's the point of like, what if you're just because first of all, if you have a cost plus contract, I'm gonna say the same thing that I said on that whole conversation. That is, right now, even if we had a lander, we cannot do that whole thing of landing on the moon because the core stage 3, for example, of the SLS for Artemis 3 is not built. The Orion and all of that side of the mission is not ready to go either. Like, you will have to steal the one from Artemis 2. Like, you will have to steal SLS and Orion of Artemis 2 if you had a lander right now in order to carry out that mission. Like, it's not just the lander that is not ready. Everything else is also not ready. The spaces are not ready either. Like, my main point here being like, if you just have deep pockets like Jeff and Elon, right? And they don't care about whether losing the payment or not, then what is your incentive to meet the deadline? If you have the cost plus contract and you have deep pockets, why would you care about not being paid on time? For example, just to put that. So that is sort of my main question about how is Jared gonna convince and like trying to keep things on schedule and trying to motivate contractors to keep to schedules, because it would be really interesting if there was actually something to that end.
So, Alex, let me ask you a question. If you could buy any airplane, so you could buy one of the following two airplanes, would you buy a 737 MAX or an A320neo?
I will get the Airbus.
Why?
Bias, because I'm European.
Right?
But sure,
Sorry?
yeah.
What about you?
It also has more orders, but anyways.
Why does it have more orders?
I guess they ask for it more. The companies like it
It wouldn't
more.
have anything to do with Boeing's reputation going down the toilet after the 737 MAX fiasco, would it?
Well, one could argue that maybe after that it's actually safer because they screwed things up so much that they probably went through everything and tried to make it better, but who knows?
The point that I'm trying to make is you say what's the point? Your reputation goes in the toilet when you say you're going to do something as a company and then don't do it, especially in aerospace. Sawyer, what would you pick?
If you still do it but late, I think. Yeah, continue, Sawyer.
Here's my Airbus throttle, or my Airbus yoke. My Airbus throttle is over here. Here's the faceplate for my Airbus McDo. So take a guess.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I also have the autopilot panel for the Airbus. Yeah.
Let me ask you another question. Same thing. Would you fly on Crew Dragon or Starliner right now?
It's $200 to get my butt kicked, to modify a quote from my cousin Vinny. I've had a good butt kicking in a while. I'll take the $200.
I could use a good butt kick. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I'll take the $200. So
gonna kick the crap out of me for $200? So
yeah,
that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that objectively, Starliner is not a bad capsule. I mean, the thermal analysis on the thrusters was not good, but it's not that they'll weed out a couple of other things. It's not that it's necessarily a bad capsule. It's one of the few ways to get into space. But that's what I mean. Not completing these contracts is very much your reps on the line. We don't call them old space for no reason. You know what I mean? These legacy contractors, the big players, from the Cold War, right? We don't call them old space for nothing. If Rook really tries to leverage the commercial market, these legacy contractors are gonna have competition again. And if you have competition, it's going to get to the point where the reputation of your company makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. Look at the reputation that SpaceX has. A lot of people love SpaceX. Why do they like SpaceX? Because they launch things into space a lot. And they also launch people into space a lot, relatively. Blue's reputation is going to get better when they do more new blends, and they will. But
so then, why
reputation matters, guys.
Why is SpaceX late then with the HLS contract? If the reputation is so good.
Because we haven't seen criticism about the Starship program from people? Like, come on now.
No, but reputation just doesn't compensate for engineering shortfalls or issues. And I guess, speaking of Starship and Starbase, they're doing a parade there for Christmas.
What is the engineering shortfall in the Starship program?
Not really engineering shortfall. I should probably specify more that, they had issues. They had really big issues this year. I guess, we can already get ahead of the looking ahead or looking back section, where it's like, they had multiple flights failing. They had an explosion of the Ship 36 ship, and then Booster 18 earlier this year, like in November. Those things do not help with the timelines, right? And still, SpaceX is an amazing company, right? Like I'm saying I'm technically a fanboy, but I'm trying to be on the critical side here, where it's like, does reputation really compensate for these shortfalls, either engineering or timeline wise or whatever you want to call them? But does it really compensate? You know what I mean, right? Or maybe not.
You're saying if you take more time, right, that it doesn't necessarily affect your reputation as long as it works. Is that the idea here?
No, I mean the opposite. So SpaceX is great. They have done 165 launches already of Falcon 9 this year, 5 of Starship and everything. They are nowhere near, none of their competitors, not even whole countries like China, are close to SpaceX in the amount of mass launched, the amount of rockets launched, etc., and the speed that they're going, and yet they're late, right? It's like a lot of reputation. Does it compensate for being late? Not. I mean, right? So the opposite can also be said here, where it's like, even if you have a really good reputation, doesn't mean that it's gonna save you from being late and whatnot. But
by the way, this is our view from Caesar out there of the parade. In case you didn't know, I wrote my own version of the song, by the way. It should be Santa got run over by a starship and got hit by falling ship debris. I don't know if I could sing it for copyright, but yeah.
You could say there's no such thing as Elon. Wait, what?
And for me and Jared, we believe.
Next Christmas Carol being like jingle COPVs, right? Or transfer lines, transfer tubes inside the tanks.
Santa got run over by a starship. and I got hit by falling ship debris. You may say there's no such thing as Elon. As for me and Jared, we believe.
Neon.
There you go,
sorry.
folks.
It's electric. It doesn't really actually do any neons or anything like that. We were like, something like that. I don't know. I haven't heard.
Anyway,
Hey, look, a Cybertruck.
Two.
All right.
Yeah.
as we watch the parade, we have so much support that I need to go through.
Oh no! Oh no!
Kiko Ken, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Astro Ellie, thank you for upgrading to a Capcom member. And again, Capcom and above gets access to the NSF Discord, which includes the Flame Trench pre and post show, where you could have heard the crazy conversation last week that we had with Max. It was actually really in depth. We were on for like an hour plus. Normally it's a little shorter than that. James saying, Isaacman is NASA head, your early Christmas gift. Telstar86 gifting a Red Team membership. Eddie White gifting a Red Team membership. James Yoder also coming in saying 2 Skeletors, one in NASA, another as president. Telstar86, D, make sure you keep this trench on the rails.
Which one?
Never gonna happen.
Dude.
You know, I can
Right for
try
the-
to, but I don't think I have any hope.
Exactly.
James went right for the jugular with that one. Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Area. There's the Grinch and Frosty the Snowman, who are going to be the next crew of Starship
The
Flight 2.
Grinch is the COPVs, right? One is COPVs, the other is transfer tubes.
Is that Mechazilla? Is that a
Yeah.
Godzilla holding a
On,
starship?
on an
inflatable?
SPMT. I like it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm also
SpaceX
wondering why
gonna
the-
SpaceX.
I'm also wondering why the Cybertruck was out in front, and why did they have a 3500 Dodge Ram pulling the float?
At least it's accurate because the booster has
saying.
3 grid fins. Okay.
All right.
And the grid fin, the rudder grid fin, it's opposite of Megazilla, so it's it's correct even down to the engineering. Just joking.
Oh no!
And the guys
there
walking
goes
alongside
stage
with the
0.
Santa hat and the Christmas sweaters.
Are they really like even with the lifts things that they use?
This is actually pretty cool. I dig this. If I was 5, I'd be super into this. I mean, I'm 37. I'm still into it. I love heavy equipment. There, boy. This is great.
I was ready to knock it until now I'm watching it. It's actually not bad.
No, this
Do
is
it-
great, dude.
Do we know where they're going?
How many
Like, are
wheels
they
that
going
truck
all the
has?
way out to Boca Chica or something? To Brownsville, not Boca Chica. They're going.
Oh, maybe,
Not
Brownsville
sponsored
way.
by BladeFlatforms.com.
dude. That you see how many wheels that truck had? That's awesome. And it's carrying. You had 2 tag axles on top of that. That's great.
More than 2 wheels.
I
You
wonder
did
if
have more
maybe
than
the-
2. Yes.
I bet the crane was just going out to the pad and got stuck in the parade. It's like, well, we're here. Let's parade.
Yeah, just put it in the parade. It's fine.
They're still reusing the same snowman that they used in 2023 to roll out Booster 10. It's amazing.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that's
Remember?
they're reusable. It's a reusable rocket company. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they reuse the snowman, Alex? Jeez.
Yeah.
oh,
Because they
that
used
was good.
I remember in 2023, end of 2023, they rolled out Ship 28, I think it was, and Booster 10, and they did a static fire test of both, like, within a couple of days of the end of the year. I'm really sad that we don't have, like, a booster ready to go or a ship ready to go. Well, maybe soon. We'll see. To be tested, because it will have been cool to see an actual Starship instead of that inflatable one.
Well, the
Maybe
current
next year.
starships are deposed. They're deposed right now. They can't come to the phone.
Wait, they're going the wrong way. On the back there, it's going the wrong way. Is that a horse? Is Chris B on that float? Anyway, the only reason I remember the snowman is because it was Ryan Caton's profile picture forever on Discord.
He loved
only
that,
reason why I
that
remember that.
snowman. Oh, we can talk bad about Ryan because he's not around.
Yeah, he's on this thing called vacation. I don't know what that
What?
is, but
I don't know either.
Oh yeah,
Anyway.
you don't know?
No,
Really?
I don't.
You sure about that?
press X to doubt.
Are you sure about that?
Ah, good lord, it's so cold in the Midwest.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Anyway, there's still more support that I have to go through.
No way. Well, we should then keep off the rails then and distract Sawyer.
James Yoder with the $5 super chat. This feels like Ryan Caton at the end of the Starship Flight 10 stream.
Yeah, right.
Congrats to Rocket Lab on winning SDA Tranche 3 contracts. I'm kicking myself again for not buying them at their IPO, but glad I didn't buy Astra. No comments. James Yoder also saying test nuclear on the moon before we take it to Mars. I mean, yeah, the moon is meant to be the proving ground for all of this, right?
Yep, agreed.
Do you like in For All Mankind where they fire the engine horizontally on the moon? That would be cool. But it was
Now,
very
see,
realistic.
I'm not sure if this is the parade. I think that the truck, the fifth wheel trailer, is just carrying scaffolding at this point.
That's what I was saying earlier. I think there's some actual regular
Yeah,
pad
I think
traffic
you're right.
mixed in. And once it gets to the pad, they'll just stay there, and then the rest will
I mean,
turn.
it's also 5 p.m., so this is also their shift change, right?
Oh, no.
So
Suddenly,
some of
it's
these might
a very,
actually,
very long parade.
yeah, right. So these might be actually like employees trying to get out of the way and go back home.
That's funny.
Yeah, that 2500 Dodge Ram. It's a great Christmas present or something.
I wonder what EJ wants.
I do not want a Dodge Ram.
No,
I
you
don't
want a Ford.
that. Yeah, that's right.
Farsidius saying Donald Duck would be a better pick than Duffy. Donald Duffy? Duffy Duck?
Suffering succotash.
Suffering succotash. It's gonna be part of national security.
Don't do that again.
Unplugged lamp. Since Soyuz is out of commission, I have a proposal for Roscosmos. Crew Dragon Soyuz. I am very smart. Nice. Well, by the way, they did officially announce the Crew 12 crew, and there's been a change of personnel given the whole ITAR thing. Felix saying, I had no issue with Bridenstine as administrator, but his shilling for legacy space as a lobbyist is not cool. I was just talking about his time as administrator. What he's done since then, different stories. But
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure in his congressional testimony saying the gateway, a space station around the moon, is the fastest way to the surface of the moon. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just not sure about that right now. Yeah.
Bideford coming in with a $25 super chat saying, I am 100% happy, all caps there, with Jared. He will move NASA along at a faster pace. So talk positive until he falls flat on his face, which I do not believe he will do. Yes, Jared.
They're going to Remedios Avenue. Oh, boo. That was a short parade.
That was it?
Yeah.
Lame. I want my money back. Oh, wait, it was free. I want my no money back.
I want my time back. Wait. Nah, I'm good.
Oh, here.
You need a
here it
DeLorean
is.
for that.
Shazbird saying that EJ wants a Long March 5.
Nah, I don't want that pilot. I mean, that rocket.
By the way, there is the official announcement of the crew, by the way, for Crew 12 that just came in today as well. As we talked about, there was a reassignment on the Russian side, given the whole apparently accused of leaking ITAR-sensitive stuff.
Eh.
Just to put
Whoops.
it politely. Jim Yoder again. Thank you for all the support, Jim. Saying, please make and publish the NSF Christmas carols. Oh gosh.
I feel like that one is kind of directed at me, given certain plans that were in the back channels a while ago.
Like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Not 2 years ago, but it was
Okay,
a full year ago.
Yeah,
that
a
we were
year
talking
ago.
about the Christmas album.
Deck
That's
the
not
halls
happening
with bells
this year.
of Raptor. Fa la la la
It's
la
not
la
happening
la
this
la
year,
la.
so it's happening some other year, maybe?
To be determined, but there are other things in store in the next week. I won't spoil it.
Oh.
Sorry, I got it. Oh, wait, really? Oh,
maybe watch the Starlink 6-88 launch, which is currently scheduled for January 2nd.
Oh my
Saying?
gosh.
Oh,
It's gonna
I
be
meant
after-
things happening before that.
Oh. Not one day before that?
If it is the thing that you're thinking about, Sawyer, we will have a flame trench that same day, a few hours earlier, I think.
Oh. Oh, it's before that.
Or it's
Aha.
after. Hang on.
I don't know. Time zones are weird. Anyway,
Yeah.
I got another
Space
song, guys.
go ahead.
Put on your staging ring. It's time to launch the thing.
Ooh, not bad, Adam Sandler. Got to show some Hanukkah love in there too, in addition, which happy
Yeah, gotcha.
Hanukkah still to those who celebrate.
Yeah, there you go.
And Space Pope with the $50 super chat saying, "Bless this holiday trench. Appreciate the blessing as always, Space Pope." Now, Jim Yoder brought something up that wasn't originally in our documents, since it also came in kind of last minute here news-wise, but I still want to bring this up with you guys. So, Jim Yoder asking, we're going to talk about Roscosmos keeping the ISS. You laugh, but in an update, this is based off of information from an Eric Berger article on Ars Technica, saying Oleg Orlov, director of the Institute of Biomedical Problems of the Russian Academy of Sciences, says the Russian Orbital Station, or ROS, will no longer be composed of entirely new modules. Rather, its core will be the Russian segment of the International Space Station.
I have a question,
They're also changing the orbital inclination. It was originally going to be a polar station at a 96-degree inclination. It is now going to be at 51.6, which, why does that sound familiar? Oh yeah, that's where the ISS is at currently. So I don't know if that's going to change things for SpaceX when they deorbit, because it sounds like the station they're deorbiting might only be the US side as opposed to the US and Russian segments.
I'd be
What do you
very
think?
interested into how they're going to do that, considering the United States owns the Zarya module.
I think-
Russia just operates that. That'd be, the functional cargo block is ours.
I think it's probably not the entire Russian segment. It's probably just going to be Nauka and Prishal, which are the newest modules, and then Zarya and Zvesta are just going to stay there. Mostly based on the recent information that we got, where it was they moved back. So this whole project of the Russian orbital station dates back to early 2010s, when originally the station was going to be replaced in the 2020s, right? It was going to be sent to the orbit in 2020. It eventually got extended and whatnot. Now it's 2030. But they started with all of those plans at the time, and their original plan was to assemble the station on the ISS. So they will launch Nauka and then Prishal, and there will be two science modules, or NEMs as their acronyms will be NEM, and there will be NEM1 and NEM2, and will be sort of to the sides of the Prishal module, and then Progress could be docked underneath, and then there will be some kind of other node module on top once Nauka was detached from the rest of the segment and everything. Then they said, no, let's not even do this. Let's just do a completely new station. And that was the render that Dee was showing before. That was the one of the completely new station in a sun-synchronous orbit, where they could access that through Vostochny on the far east of Russia and everything, and not need Kazakhstan and the Baikonur Cosmodrome in general to be able to launch Soyuz to that station. And so that was the plan until earlier this year. Then they started sort of suggesting maybe this was going to change. There were already rumors that it was changing back to 51.6 degrees, aka the same inclination as the ISS. And I think it's just going to be that same plan that they had originally, but instead of having those modules, it's just because it talks about the core of the station will be the Russian segment. And it's well, if it talks about the core of the station, then that will be the same plan as they had originally, where Nauka and Prishal were going to be the core of the station, and then they will aggregate, all of the other different modules around it. So I think that's probably what they were thinking again, that they're probably gonna recycle that original plan. They probably had a lot of different engineering decisions and studies and all that. But we'll see what happens. You can see, for example, in this render of the all new module station, you can see a lot of these are based on the existing modules anyways. Like you can see the two on the sides are just the NAM modules. They just have, instead of 1, 2, they're going to build a second one. Or ironically, the first one is almost built, but it's not ready to fly. Then you have like 2 node modules, and then like another one in the middle, which sort of look like the Prishal module. And then you've got the Oriole or Orel spacecraft, which is nowhere near ready to fly humans, let alone uncrewed, or rather the other way
Oriole
around.
is Russian for eagle. You can just say the Eagle capsule.
That's well, the Eagle capsule. That's the one that they've been developing for a lot of time, a lot of years, and So I don't know, but I think that's probably what's gonna happen based on that. I don't think Zvezda and Zarya can even be detached at this point, or even functional, to be honest. But that will probably be the way that they're going to be doing it. I do wonder how they're going to be connecting more than one spacecraft at a time, because the Prishal module, the side docking ports are for modules and not for spacecraft. So there will have to be some kind of modification of those docking ports, but we'll see.
It looks like Prishal is making up the core node of this, Alex, if I'm looking at that right.
Well, that is the all new station that they had planned, the one in sun-synchronous orbit, which would have been just based on the Prishal module, not the actual Prishal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because unless they had a way to tug it to sun-synchronous orbit, but yeah. I'm gonna try if I can find the render of this, because I saw back in the days when they were trying to plan this, and it's just
so
weird.
So my question, sorry, I was muted to chat, was so are they just gonna then go with the newer modules with Prichka and Nauka, or?
Yeah, that's basically what Alex
use
was
the newest
getting
stuff
at, I
and
think,
throw the rest away.
Yeah, I mean, Zvezda has that leak in its vestibule module at the very back end of the station, and Zarya is hooked into they hotwired it into the truss segment, into the integrated truss system from the USOS side of the station. Nauka is Zarya, excuse me, is basically being used as a gigantic battery. So that type of module is called a functional cargo block. And then there's station modules, which are called DOS modules. Zvezda is a DOS, and Zarya is a functional cargo block. Alex, which one is Nauka? Nauka is DOS as well, correct?
It's no, it's like Zarya. It's FGB.
Oh, it's a functional cargo. FGB is that's what that means.
Cargo block. Yeah. So yeah, it's very much like that, like Zarya. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I think that if they want to have just the core of the station, that is probably their safest bet. But I mean, it's just one module, pretty much one module in one node, right? And that will be it. And the NEM module, the problem is that it's more or less built. It's just not configured for flight yet. And I feel like that's the problem that they are in right now, where they don't have money to complete that module. They don't have money to build the other modules, because they're spending the money elsewhere, you know where. I don't want to trigger any algorithm stuff, so that's why I'm, doing it that way. And so it's like, maybe that's why they're trying to go back to this, so that they can at least reuse Nauka and be like, well, at least, we have some presence in low Earth orbit. Maybe. If we don't get the money for the other things. I don't know. Like, it just seems like a last minute sort of change where it was like, no, revert back. It's like on KSP and Kerbal, where it's like revert back to VAB. It's it sort of.
I
seems
don't.
like
I
that.
don't. I wouldn't know. I don't. You use revert, Alex? You revert back to. I never revert. I no reverts, no quick saves, no quick loads. That's how I roll, man.
Sure,
Show off.
sure.
What do you mean show off? My stuff blows up all the time.
I was gonna say I've seen you crash out many times on stream as a result of that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Because that's how you learn. You don't learn nothing by hitting the dang revert button.
Yeah, you do. You learn what you messed up and you go, oh crud, I have to go back to the VAB and fix that, and then it's fine. Or check your
but
staging.
You really won't make that mistake again if you put like $1 million rocket out and it blows up. That's a huge mistake. It's even higher gravitational mistake in terms of, like catastrophic failure. Like you're really in the grav well net. Like, okay, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but the point is,
Speaking of that kind of mistake, the Visualize is asking, how's the Soyuz pad doing?
Thank you for getting me out of that one.
They came out this week saying that they're gonna be replacing everything and repairing it by the end of February. I'm like, okay, sure. We are featuring that actually later today on This Week in Spaceflight, so watch out for that, because there's a little segment about it in particular. But yeah, they released this whole thing of like, oh yeah, we have the spare parts for the service cabin of the launch site, and yeah, we're putting everything together. I think it's like 180 employees working around the clock and like 3 shifts and things like that. It's like, okay, good for you. Let's see if that happens.
So, Alex, it's funny you mentioned that. I went and did a little bit of digging. So check this out. They've in the recent recent is in big quotation marks here. There have recently been comparatively to Soyuz's entire history, there have been more Soyuz pads built in the last, like, let's say 20 years than there has in the 20 years prior, right? So what Soyuz pads do we have right now? I mean, where are they getting these spare parts from, right? So you have a Soyuz site at Kourou. Yeah, they're not getting parts from that. In French Guiana, that's one of ESA's launch sites. Yeah, they're not getting parts from there. There's Vostochny, which is the eastern one. There's Baikonur, which has Site 15 and Site 31. Those are the 2 Soyuz pads there. There's Plesetsk, right? And that, yeah, I think that's all of them. Now, the thing is that Vostochny was relatively new. That was 2017, I believe. So these service gantries that they're looking for have been manufactured in the relatively pretty recently. They do have, so for the pads at Baikonur and Plesetsk, the contractor that makes the service gantry that malfunctioned was in the Ukraine, so that's probably not happening. But for Vostochny and Kourou, they have an in-house manufacturer in Russia that's making these parts, and that's where they had that spare from, right? So not only do they have spares, but there's a heavy contractor, and I forget which city it's in. I don't remember. In Russia that made the gantry for Vostochny and the one for Kourou. So what's that?
I've seen some rumors about it being Tambov. I think it's the city's name. I don't really know where that is.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the
place in Russia.
It's that place in Russia.
Someplace
It's cold.
in Russia. Yeah.
It's cold there. I'd have to go look. Anyway, the point is that there's a supply chain for these parts. That heavy equipment manufacturer could just make more of these things. At first, when the service gantry ejected itself into the flame trench from the MS-27 mission, I was like, well, they're not fixing that. But it turns out they do have the suppliers. There are people that will make it. So I actually think, when they say it's going to get done pretty quickly, I actually, not that this is like an endorsement or anything. I actually kind of believe them.
That service cabin did a Starlink on the pest dispenser. It just chun.
What?
Because it's sort of like in an enclosure, and then it sort of flew out.
Pest dispenser, like with Starlink satellites?
Yeah, like Starlink.
Hey, that's almost like our next topic. Really quickly, let me just thank
really?
Jim Yoder saying, thoughts on polar or sun-synchronous orbit for space stations? I mean, it'll be cool, but right now it's a bit of a pain to have launches that can send people to there, considering that we only really have sent crews into a polar orbit once in history. So
There's also increased radiation on those orbits because it crosses the poles and whatnot. One of the things that Russia wanted to do with the sun synchronous orbit station, it was, yeah, it's gonna be so good, and don't worry about the radiation. We'll just not have people all the time on the station. Like it'll be so good and so new that it'll just operate automatically, and it can be uncrewed for many months, and that's okay. And I'm like, sure, you just don't want to launch as many Soyuzes.
anyway, yeah, very interesting. So, let's move on to the next topic. Near miss in orbit, game over. Anyway, what happened recently was there was a Chinese rocket that launched. On board was 9 different satellites. It was Kinetica 1 Y11, so the 11th one of those. That launched back on December 10th from the Zhuhuan Satellite Launch Center. I'm sure I butchered that. And you can see here, this is the Vice President of Starlink Engineering, Michael Nichols, who posted this, saying that one of those satellites got ridiculously close. You can see they're resulting in a 200-meter close approach between one of the deployed satellites and Starlink 6079 identifier 56120 at a 560-kilometer altitude. Normally, we see these measured in kilometers in terms of, oh, that was a close call. That is 200 meters. That is insanely close. I mean, Jonathan McDowell posted a chart of how close it was. The relative distance, and you could see it there. It's like, oh, it's pretty far away at the top of the chart, pretty far, and then just, how ridiculously close it got. I love that, the orbital police pointing that out. There it is. Look at how close that gets to the bottom of the graph. The bottom is 0 meters away.
Yeah,
And,
that's not great.
No, not great, Bob. And again, part of this is the fact that they really don't kind of coordinate with other countries. It's basically, we launch now, boom. Rather than, hey, let's not do that. Because a lot of US launches and other countries, and we've talked about these on our broadcast before, you'll hear them talk about COLAs, which are cutouts that they have in the timeline because, hey, there's other satellites above us. We might hit those if we launch now. It's worth noting, again, not really considered a danger to the ISS at that point because they didn't hit. But if they did hit, that could be an issue. Because remember, China has had stages explode in orbit before. Remember, there was a Long March 6A back in 2022. It broke up and created 300 pieces of trackable debris. And a keyword there, trackable debris. That just means debris that is at least 10 centimeters in diameter. It's about 4 inches. There are tons of smaller pieces that they can't track. So yeah, that was pretty dangerous. And that's not the only Starlink news as well. In addition to that, we also had a Starlink that went out of control. Oh my God, end of the world. No, but we did have a Starlink anomaly, as they officially called it. This was from the official Starlink X account there. You can see during the anomaly, it ended up venting its propulsion tank, led to a rapid decay of what they call the semi-major axis by about 4 kilometers, and ended up releasing, again, that whole trackable debris, a small number of pieces of said trackable debris. Those are the 10 centimeter, 4-inch pieces. It is still intact. They did say that it was tumbling, and that there was a software fix that was already sent out to try and prevent it. But going back to the orbital police, once again, you can get an idea of the orbit that it was in and the tracking of it. You can see there, launch, and then normal orbit, and then dip. That's where the anomaly happened, in case you couldn't tell. It's possible that may have just been one of those pieces of trackable debris, because then it did pop up again in the chart above that one. But you could see there, it still ended in a lower line than where it started, so a lower orbit. Obviously, something happened there. And that one is below the orbit of the ISS, so not a risk when it did that. Space is getting dangerous out there. How do we even prevent this from happening?
Communication would help.
That's a start, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't tell people where your satellites are, how are they going to know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that launch in particular, there were at least 9 different satellites.
9 satellites?
3 of them were not from China, in fact. One of them was from Egypt, another one from Nepal, and another one from United Arab Emirates. Oh my god, I'm so bad at pronouncing that. But yeah, like, I know because I wrote about this for not this week's twist, but the previous This Week in Spaceflight episode. And yeah, there were, by the way, just saying one thing. Sawyer, you are on the space traffic report this week.
I am, yes.
You are on Twist this week. But yeah, so that was the one launch of the Chinese name is Legion or whatever. It's Kinetica 1.
Yeah, this was the exact launch,
yeah.
by the way, on the 10th of December.
Yeah. Also, I hate the fact that it's the Zhoushan Satellite Launch Center, and it's rated as Jiuquan. I hate that.
Yeah. I had to do a lot of Googling of pronunciations for space traffic. I'll say that for the Chinese.
Yeah, I tried
took me a
to
couple
leave you.
takes.
Yeah, I tried to leave you a bit of help on the comments. But anyways,
There was none.
we're going off the rails. So yeah, like at least 3 of them were not even Chinese satellites. One of them was even a Jilin satellite. Those are usually like super, weird satellites and everything. Like I've covered some of the previous versions of some of these, and it's always very secretive. It's always this whole thing of like, oh yeah, it's to measure crops and blah blah and all that, and it's like, yeah, crops. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why I did that.
So, it feels to me, because this is another thing, like the launch company is actually on X, Cast Space. There we go. Thank you, D. And like they sort of said, oh well, it happened 48 hours after the launch. It is not our fault. It is the satellite operator's fault. And to be fair, they have a point there, because after their mission is done, it's like, it's as if, something happens with a Dragon. Well, Dragon is actually from SpaceX. Cygnus launch on Falcon 9, right? And something happens with Cygnus, and then you blame SpaceX, which was the launch provider. It's like, why? It happened after the launch, right? So
What,
yeah,
like if it starts to spin and damages one of the solar panels or something? Oh no, wait, that was not their fault. But that would never happen.
But yeah, there's a lot of problems in general with tracking objects. Like a lot of people think that it's super easy to just, oh yeah, a launch happened. There's this many satellites, boom, done. There's the Space Delta 18, which is in charge. It's the body, the team in the U.S. that is in charge of tracking these objects, and is the one that sort of hands over the data to satellite operators and everything to be able to coordinate and whatnot. That is very important when you have thousands of satellites and then somebody tries to launch something through your constellation, like this launch. And so in this case, it was that, there were 9 of these satellites. Yes, 9 satellites. And it takes time to be able to track these, right? And then you have to tell which one is which. I think at this point, they still don't even know which one is which. Like, yeah, we know this object is whatever number we've put to this object, right? And it is in this orbit, but we don't know if it's, satellite A or satellite B or whatever, from X company or Y country or whatever, right? So it takes time, and it's especially complicated, for example, when transporter missions happen. But ahead of these launches, for example, SpaceX themselves, they try to publish pre-launch data where they sort of ahead of time identify what are going to be the orbits that some of these satellites are going to be dumped into. I say dumped because, transporter missions are pretty much like that. Ahead of Starlink launches as well, they do the same. Every single Starlink launch ahead of one, they always publish data on what will be the orbit for deployment, so that other operators are aware of where these Starlink satellites are going to be deployed. Thankfully, these satellites, when they're deployed in the case of Starlinks, they're deployed at 250 kilometers. If you have a satellite orbiting at that altitude, I mean, I'm sorry for you. It's probably about to the orbit, or you have a spy satellite maybe. but that's essentially what SpaceX normally does. And I feel like maybe Michael Nichols in this case is like, but we do this whole thing of like trying to do all of this work to coordinate and blah blah, and nobody else is doing it. And I sort of feel that, right? That he probably is like, we do a lot of this work and nobody else does this, and it's like, oops. But yeah, we'll see. There needs to be a lot more coordination. That's for sure.
And I mean, when you think about it,
Orbital
SpaceX
police.
alone has 9,000 satellites. You've got China working on their own satellite constellations now. So many of these constellations that are ending up in low Earth orbit rather than just GEO. I mean, how do you... are we creating too much of a risk with so many satellites? And ResistoJet asking, as more and more items are launched into space, is there a plan for dealing with the increased space junk? And will it require increased cooperation between all international space agencies?
Yeah, sorry, we're gonna need to have better cooperation. At least just saying like, hey, we're doing this now. This is going here. This is going there. And, you know, everybody can have their own kind of database, but, you know, see, where do the chips fall when it comes to like spy satellites and stuff? You ain't exactly going to go advertising where those are, right? Like, so, yeah, it's definitely an interesting issue for sure.
By the way, this is Jonathan McDowell's response to that CastSpace statement, saying the response, which seems reasonable, launch coordination can't account for satellite positions 2 days after launch. SpaceX's normal position is we avoid automatically using the TLEs. So is the real problem that the TLEs don't come out soon enough?
What's a TLE?
TLEs? I don't know.
Two-line element. It's a way of describing an orbit by doing two lines of different information. So that's what TLEs mean. That is usually, again, you can see here, for example, him talking about short term in the interim. I will urge CastSpace to push China to stand up a public Chinese website analogous to spacetrack.org, which is this sort of thing of like, you know, sharing different tracking data from the government, and then where Chinese commercial satellite operators will push timely orbit data for their own satellites. Operator analysts around the world could then run conjunction analysis using both the Chinese and the US catalogs. Like, yeah, that's another thing as well. Like, you know, what the US measures is one thing, and then what the Chinese are tracking is a whole different thing, or what they're planning is a whole different thing. TLEs, again, it's just when you track something in orbit, you just display their orbit. It's not, oh, perigee, apogee, and whatever. No, there's a standard way to display that, and those are the TLEs. However, you can have pre-launch TLEs, as in, you know, if you are the launch operator, if you are the satellite operator, you know where you want to put your satellite, you know where you're going to put your launcher into orbit and whatever. You know ahead of time where you're going to put these things because you know the launch and you know all of the things. So you could, in theory, release these things ahead of time. And so, for example, here, Michael Nichols talks about, you know, the problem is that the satellite operators, they don't even share the ephemeris. Like the conjunctions and everything happen not just in an orbit, but also in a place in time. And so it just doesn't matter that you put up a you know, the TLEs and everything, because you cannot do effective collision avoidance based on TLEs. And that is pretty much what's happening here. Like, you know the orbit, but you don't really know where exactly the satellite is in that orbit until you actually get a time when that orbit was calculated, and that's the ephemeris in this case. And so, as he says, satellite operators need to be responsible for sharing their positions and coordinating. This close approach occurred early mission, but it is not the only time these situations arise, and it is the largest source of risk in LEO. So yeah, like, there just needs to be more coordination, and I would agree with Jonathan McDowell on, like, maybe China needs to establish something like that. Maybe be a bit more public about what they do, right? And have a way for their satellite operators to coordinate with other international satellite operators as well. They're still launching this whole Kuo-1 satellite constellation of thousands of satellites. They're slow, but they're gonna get there at some point. How are you gonna coordinate that with Starlink if you don't know where those satellites are, right? You're just relying on satellite tracking data from a government instead of the people that are literally operating those satellites. It's like, come on, guys.
It should be easy enough to track where these satellites are, easier than tracking when your cat's gonna jump up into frame. Jake. But I mean, this
He
is
likes to
something
show
that.
off.
I mean, it's one thing, because we talked, one of the biggest things of the last decade, of the 2010s, was all about cleaning up space debris, getting rid of space junk, coming up with these satellites that will go up with nets and with grabber arms and things to bring stuff down to re-enter, to destroy it. Refueling spacecraft that would go to aging spacecraft that ran out of propellant so that they can deorbit. It feels like that's less of the problem now than it is the operational satellites in orbit. Because, I mean, of recent, there was basically a rule put into place that every satellite launched has to have a way to deorbit itself or be able to deorbit if something were to go wrong on launch on its own. That seems to be less of the issue now that there are just so many satellites up there, and most of them are operational, which is, I don't know, it's fascinating how that's shifted, of the getting rid of the old stuff versus dealing with too much of the new stuff. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm
EJ
kind of with
Space
you on
does a
that
lot.
one.
What do you think?
Sorry, could you just reiterate it real quick just to make sure I understand?
I was saying it feels like the 2010s was all about getting rid of old space junk, getting rid of all the old satellites, moving all the old stuff out of the way, coming up with refueling missions to refuel old satellites to deorbit them. It seems like that was more of the concern, was the dead stuff. Now it feels like more of the concern is how many live stuff there is satellite-wise in orbit.
Yeah, there was definitely a market trend for mission extension on vehicles and by proxy debris removal. That's what drove that market in the 2010s. Mission extension vehicles. So something that can go and just grab the satellite and, you could deorbit it, or you could use it to boost its orbit. You could use it for station keeping, use it for whatever. I think proliferated. I think you're right. I think proliferated low Earth orbit constellations like Starlink or I was about to say Project Kuiper, Amazon Leo. Guys, change the name. Just change the name. That's just Amazon Leo sounds like a blender.
That you can buy on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. Just it sounds like a blender, dudes. Come on. Project Kuiper's a sweet name. Anyway, I digress. Proliferated low Earth orbit constellations kind of killed that Sawyer, with like basically swarm satellites. Now stuff like Starlink is in decaying orbit, so even if like SpaceX just said, we're not doing this anymore, the entire Starlink constellation, save for like some of the satellites that are in polar orbits, higher orbits that are above like 600 kilometers, most of it would just come right back down in, I don't know, 3 to 5 years.
Are there Starlinks that far up? I thought they were all like under 600 kilometers.
Yeah. Wasn't there a 640 kilometer shell, or is that too high?
There's higher
I
shells.
don't recall.
Point is there are shells that are going to take longer to deorbit than that, but the vast majority of Starlink shells are in decaying orbits to begin with.
Yeah, DTC will come down very quickly because it's like under 400. So,
and that right there is kind of what killed that meta. So, like I said, these proliferated low Earth orbit swarm satellites, they have a smaller shelf life. Starlink satellites don't last that long. The first Starlink satellites that were launched not very long ago are gone. They're gone. They burned up. They ran out of propellant. Why? These thrusters use more, because they're in decaying orbits. These thrusters use more propellant to keep them in the right orbit, right? Now, a satellite that's out in geostationary, one of those big ones that, that's the size of a school bus, that has like a 10 to 15 year life cycle, right? And those ones will last a lot longer. So, you go back 10 years ago, so it was looking at, how do we keep those satellites flying longer? How do we, maintain those satellites? A mission extension vehicle or a deorbit vehicle could do something like that, right? That's what exactly as the name implies, mission extension vehicle. Now, the entire industry is pivoting towards a low-cost satellite. These low-cost satellites, they don't cost much to send up. They have a lower shelf life. They don't go as far up into space. And because of that, it deorbited. So what? Launch another one. That's why you're not seeing these mission extension vehicles as much, because of the pivot in the commercial market to proliferated smaller satellites that have a shorter shelf life but are cheaper to make.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. I do want to bring this. We did get a piece of support that I want to bring up. That's an interesting question. Over under 5 years for the first significant constellation disaster. Also suggesting for the cleanup job a neutron-style hungry hippo chomper. Oh, what's your over-unders? I'll give my opinion last. EJ?
I don't think that's happening. All these, at least it's not going to be with, Amazon Leo or Starlink or anything like that. Those types of satellites have collision avoidance maneuvers. That's the benefit of these swarm satellites. Yes, they're all in low Earth orbit. Yes, these shells have satellites that are very close to each other. Each one of these things is kind of operating with a collision avoidance system, similar to think like full self-driving on a Tesla. Same idea. It's not foolproof, but it's pretty much going to. They'll just avoid this. Starlink satellites would just avoid debris. It's like a hive mind of satellites, and that's the benefits of like proliferated satellite constellations. Kuiper is probably bound to have that too, if I had to guess, or Amazon Leo. I'm sorry, guys, I can't call it that. I just can't. Amazon Leo is most likely going to have something like that as well. I don't think it's going to be from them. I think it'll be from other things. Alex?
I would, because in this case, I will say one thing, and it is that the problem right now is, as Sawyer was saying, is not that there are spent things, junk in general, is active satellites that can even maneuver, right? Like Starlinks can maneuver, as you mentioned as well, EJ, right? Like the problem is not that there are things that cannot be moved around that are junk and leftover. Like, sure, maybe if this were to happen, you were probably gonna need some kind of cleaning up period of lower orbit or something like that. But right now, it's not really the problem. That is that there are so many active satellites that they're buzzing around with each other, and there are multiple different operators, right? Which goes back to my point earlier, where it was like, we really need better coordination in between operators. But I was going to mention, I actually looked it up, and there are still 18 satellites of the first operational Starlink launch in orbit.
Wow.
Jonathan McDowell has a website for this. I'm going to share it in chat for people to check that out.
That was before the improved laser communications with each other. That was before direct to cell, before a lot of improvements.
Now,
8 of them are still in the operational orbit. Of the 18 that are still in orbit.
Now, how many satellites were launched on that first one? That's when they were still launching
60.
50 into 60.
Yeah.
See, there you go. Yeah. That's what I mean, dude.
Yeah.
Starlink is relatively new, right? Like, we saw the first Starlink satellites, the demo sats, Tintin A and B. That was 2018.
They're also replacing a lot of these older satellites. A bunch of the missions that we've seen as of late, I should say, they launch into very similar orbits. So my thinking for a while is that they are just like a lot of the launches that we're seeing. It's less of expanding the existing constellation, but rather replacing the old one, all of the old satellites and everything. Especially recently, like they've launched to 70 degrees, for example, from Vandenberg. That is the old constellation. It's not even the second constellation that they had. We can go into a whole rant about this, but I'm sure there's many more things to cover. So,
There's definitely more things to cover. My opinion, it's bound to happen. I don't think it's going to be because of a mistake on like a SpaceX part or an Amazon part. I have to say, I think it's going to be as a result of China or some other country that decides to start launching these and not communicate with the rest of the world.
Yep.
It's going to happen. It's inevitable. There's too much stuff up there, too many of these constellations, and unless everyone talks to everyone, it will happen. I think it will be probably after the ISS deorbits when people are like, oh, there's a
Space
new
ATC.
altitude. We don't have to worry about it. What?
Space ATC.
Yes, there we go. Yes, space air traffic control. All right, space traffic control, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do want to mention something. We have a road closure, Alex.
Yeah, so we might see finally a ship, an actual ship, moving around at Starbase. So earlier this week, I mean, this is from yesterday, I think. Yeah, December 18th. So we had yesterday the ship thrust simulator stand going from Massey's back to the production site. So this was Caesar a few hours before that transport, because they were sort of staging it there beforehand, before the transport. Then they transported that overnight, and now we have a road closure apparently. I think it is for tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, tomorrow from midnight to December 21st at 4 a.m. So like technically Sunday, I guess. But it is from the production site to Massey's. So now what else could be that could be rolling from the production site to Massey's, given that this thing rolled out yesterday night?
The inflatable Mechazilla.
My guess is that they're going to be putting Ship 39 maybe on this thing and then doing a cryo test. I have no idea. We'll wait and see what's going to happen. Of course, we'll try and make all sorts of, like, it's not even fully prepared. Like, you can only see like 2 of the thrust ramps and things like that. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but it would be cool if they were able to do cryo test already on Ship 39, get that out of the way, put the engines, come on, light it up, and get it out of the pad already. We'll see. But yeah, we'll talk about that, of course, on Starbase Update, last one of the year, coming up this Monday.
Exactly.
Breaking news!
That.
And
Well,
my
if you
eardrums
were
don't work.
asleep, you're probably now awake. Welcome back to the
DJ,
realm.
what are we finally getting to look at? Something we kind of mentioned earlier in the show.
Yeah, so we were talking about, NASA having better avenues of communication, right? And this revised communication structure that they're doing. Guys, they posted the town hall from today. They posted it from today. This is the town hall that Jared Isaacman did, an all-hands meeting town hall with all of NASA. It's 50 minutes long, so I don't think we're gonna have time to cover the whole thing here, but
I do
Let's
find
actually watch
interesting
and see what
that
he says.
the first few, I don't know if we can maybe show it like right from the beginning where it says live event starts soon. And it's like, yeah, it's not live. It was live probably for employees, but not for us.
Oh, but yeah, it's probably just a recording of the live event, but still.
Yeah,
Anyway, there he is.
should have clipped
That's
that.
the
Wait a minute.
administrator.
wait a minute. Did they put Polaris Dawn in the B-roll footage for the opening thing? And
And that.
I think some of it is just of Jared rather than
wait, no, I thought I saw Polaris Dawn in there. Hold
it
on.
was in there. It absolutely was. Of him
that
sticking
was a
out the
Saturn.
top of Dragon.
That was a Saturn V launch. And a Saturn 1B in China.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
the flag.
god.
That B-roll. That's pretty funny.
It made EJ very happy, I think, there. Farsidious, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. And Steve, son of our favorite Bideford, with a $50 super chat saying, can everyone wish a Merry Christmas to Bideford? She's the best mother a son could ask for. Oh, that's so sweet. Merry Christmas, Bideford.
Merry Christmas, Bideford.
Merry Christmas.
Where's the eggnog margaritas? Let's go.
Eggnog margarita?
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah,
If-
you're never having either one of those ever again, are you?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, all right. I'll do it. I'm,
mean-
I'm an internet content creator. I'll do it for the content.
That is
What?
really sweet to send a message out to your mom. Very nice. Thank you for that, Steve.
So Sawyer's like, nah. Okay.
And if, I'm still thinking about the drinks. And
Me too.
if you're realizing, oh crud, I forgot to get a gift for a loved one. It's coming up real quick. don't worry. You don't have to send a super chat directly to your mom if they don't watch. You can always get them something at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. But hey, I don't know what to get them. Well, here's a couple of options that we can offer you that happen very soon. You don't have to wait for Christmas delivery for any of them. You can get the NSF digital gift card. So if you don't know what exactly to get them, or you want to make sure that what they order, you have something to give them at Christmas time, you can get them anytime, the NSF digital gift card. It gives you the code instantly that you can then give to your loved one, and they can get what they want from shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Comes in all the different increments. You see there, gift card. I think the Europeans call them gift vouchers or something. I don't know. Those. Or you can also give the gift of knowledge, and that you can do with the L2 forums, which is the paid portion of the NSF forums. And it really is such amazing information. Some cool documents that haven't seen the light of day in years or never. Some of our own photos, some of the photos that we've been able to accumulate from years and years of having the forum up there. And you'll also be able to keep track of all of your favorite Starship assets in the different sections there, including updated pictures from our field team, so you can keep up to date. Where are they at with Ship 39? Where are they at with Pad? All of that at work. Or I want to look back at my favorite shuttle mission, anything involving Space Shuttle Endeavour. All of that is in the L2 forums, and you can gift memberships. You can see the different options there, including the lifetime access option.
Come on,
all at shop.nasaspaceflight.com, and those all deliver before Christmas.
I don't think people are saying that, man. Who would look up pictures of Endeavor? I'd be looking at pictures of Challenger all day.
I'll give you 3 words. Rendezvous pitch maneuver.
Bro, solar maximum repair mission, okay?
Yeah, but to see those super high-def photos of it flipping 360, looking right where you can see the people in the windshield with the tile in detail, I mean...
Challenger did that with the SPAS program. It was the first one to do it 20 years before Endeavor. Endeavor wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, before they had the high-quality cameras that we then had on the ISS during Endeavor's visits to the space station following 2003.
What, IMAX isn't high-def enough for you?
That it's not, but I mean, just the right, up close to, anyway. I could argue this till the cows come home. I'm interested, I'm sure chat's already going to start arguing about it.
Cows?
Horses, sorry, till the horses come home.
Don't say that 3 times fast. Chris B will show up.
He's already in chat. Do you have any horse facts?
Oh, nay.
Oh, yay. Oh, nay. Anyway.
No.
One thing that happened the past week that I really wanted to bring up on the Flame Trench was one of the recent Starlink missions. Starlink 6-82. That mission, none of us thought was going to launch. We were talking like 30, 35 knot sustained winds. It was absolutely nuts. Yeah, I didn't think they were going to launch. I don't know if you have the video available from YouTube, but just look at the flags that were flapping prior to the liftoff. All of us were like, oh, there's no way they're going to launch in that. They're going to get to the 45-second mark, and then they're going to hold and all of that. And it's like, yeah, we'll see. They launched. Those were some of the strongest winds I have ever seen. D and Max were out in the field. We were all, I mean, basically, we were coming up with the YouTube thumbnails screaming in the chat of, did they just do that? But it was absolutely wild, and it launched. So I asked Kiko, you can see there the tweet from it. I basically asked him, yeah, is that the strongest winds that Falcon 9 has ever launched in? And you could see his response there to me, basically saying, and I didn't know this, not sure if this was the strongest ever, but certainly close if it wasn't. We don't actually abort on absolute wind speed, but rather on how the integrated rocket and TE, the transporter erector, respond to the wind, which is what you actually care about. Wind direction also matters given the localized wind effects from the surrounding structures. So it's not so much the wind itself, but how the wind is battering everything around it, which I found surprising. I don't know if you knew this, Alex.
I mean, the whole thing about different directions and things like that, it was sort of known. I'm sure you probably also recall even the shuttle has had this whole thing of like, you know, depending on the direction, like sometimes the wind limit was different depending on the direction because of how the rocket went off the pad, right? And also because it was shielded with a fixed service structure and things like that. Like you have different constraints depending on the direction because of that, right?
Look at that wind, by the way. That's what it launched
But
in.
yeah. It was a very windy day. So I'm sure, they did all the checks. And there's also the matter that if the winds are not right and for whatever reason the Space Launch Delta 45 figures out that they were launching in the wrong weather, they can actually fine SpaceX for that. Because they need to, keep with the weather constraints and whatnot of the range and all that. But those, again, as I was saying, those weather constraints always depend on the rocket, and there's, of course, different directions which may allow you to be able to launch with different winds as well. So, yeah, that's probably what happened there. Of course, that was one of the many, many times that this year SpaceX somehow has been able to launch, even though the weather was horrible. Like, I'm still amazed that they are able to find a hole in the weather and still launch as many times as they've been able to.
Look at the flag right there, 10 seconds before launch, and they went in that. Even our cameras, you could see how bad they were shaking. And we're only talking, about 3-ish miles away? And look at that.
Yeah, there you go.
Again, you got to go back and watch this broadcast, folks, to the liftoff. You can hear Max and D in disbelief audibly. Did they just... they did it. Did they do that? Are they serious?
Guys, I have a
Are
little
they
bit of
serious?
Yeah, are they serious? I have a little bit of a story about this. If you guys don't, it's a Kerbal story. If you guys don't mind, a little bit here. So, once upon a time, I would build the launch pads for vehicles in KSP. So I wouldn't just build the rocket and send it. And KSP is a game where you build rockets. For the people that don't know, it's called Kerbal Space Program. It's how I got into spaceflight. It's why I'm here, because I stream it. So when we would build a pad, right? Long story short, if your transporter erector for your rocket is not pointed straight up, it's not going to launch correctly. So I kind of understand what Kiko's talking about. Now, once again, Kerbal is not real life. I get it. Long story short, I guess the gist of this is that the rocket needs to be pointed straight up. So, Sawyer, I find that makes a lot of sense for them not measuring necessarily like wind shear at ground level, right? Or wind speed at ground level, but how the wind is affecting the rocket. Rocket's got to be pointed straight up. If the transporter erector and Falcon 9 aren't pointed straight up, when it goes to launch, you're going to get a cosine loss of thrust, and the thing will just slide off to the side, like Astra's rocket. That does happen. It happens. It happened. Now, once again, I get it. It's Kerbal Space Program. I understand that it's not real life, but I would imagine that that's the gist of what's going on here. Also, building launch pads for rockets in KSP to reuse them over and over again is very difficult with stock parts. That was not fun, but we did it. But yeah, if the thing, that was my big problem, dude. If the thing wasn't pointed straight up, like if you didn't attach it correctly and the rocket wasn't pointed like exactly straight up, if it was off like 5 degrees and you went to launch it, it would just slide off the pad and crash, like every time, without question. So, sorry, I know a little bit of an anecdotal story, but that does make sense.
I mean, it just goes to show Falcon 9, and it's a Starlink mission, although it was a relatively new booster, but still, Starlink is where they kind of experiment, and even if it was on the limits, it was apparently within the limits in that specific direction, and they did push in that window, so it took a little bit of time, but they did eventually go, and we were all blown away, stuck the landing, surprise, and
the rocket was not blown away, though.
I mean, of course you guys are blown away, it was windy.
Touche. But yeah, really quickly, Schmorgan saying the B-roll from Jarrett also included the U.S. taking back the record of most square feet flown during a skydive. That's what the flag was.
Yeah, baby.
Oh,
that's awesome. Nothing better than jumping and
such
watching
an American
a launch
thing
at the same
to do
time.
as well.
Let me stream it for you. Blue skies.
You guys want to hear something crazy? Rook is one of the guys holding the flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts, right? Like, he said, okay, you just skydive? Like, is this all right? Where did you come from, man? Like, you own your own MiGs? You have like you're just casually restoring a Tornado fighter jet? Well, it's a bomber, but you get the idea. Multi-role, technically. Av geeks, don't come after me, I know. I'm just gonna go skydiving and break some world records today, whatever. Can we do that? Like,
No
is this
biggie.
something we can do? Like,
Let's ask DOS.
is it in the budget, Das?
I think we need a lot more store purchases to do that.
Yeah, no, I got an idea. We'll bring the flyovers in house, and we'll buy a T-38 or for NSF purposes to fly around. I like this idea. I'm happy to be a part of it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just one of the 165 plus launches for SpaceX this year, which, I mean, Alex, they had a goal set, and a revised goal at least, and they met it.
Yeah, so we can see there from Kiko Donchev saying that they had a revised goal of 165. He says originally set out for 170, originally was 180, then they revised down to 170, and then it was revised down to 165, apparently based on business and manifest needs. And then he said we have 2 more Falcon launches to go in 2025 for extra credit for a total of 167. I'm sorry about that, Kiko, because I'm from the future now, and there's only going to be an extra launch, and that's going to be the CSG-3, the Cosmos SkyMed launch, and that is going to be it. There's only going to be 166 Falcon launches this year. But, yeah.
Take that, Gen Alpha, with your 6.7s. Sorry,
that's
continue.
the Vandenberg team with a 165 at landing zone 4. And then, yeah, we can maybe roll through. That's LC-39A, the Florida teams. Some familiar faces as well.
Yeah.
Was that an Alex flex? That was an Alex flex. Did you hear? Oh,
No, I'm not
some of these
anything.
people.
Shut up.
Yeah, okay. Freaking
what?
Alex flex
Hey,
here. Give me a
hey,
break, man.
Wait, what do you mean? Was there an Alex in the shot?
No. But yeah, just, shots of the launches and everything. I really will have loved to have seen, people from McGregor and everything. Shout out to them, because they have tested so many second stages and so many boosters. Like, this year, ironically, hang on, because I want to actually say this with proper knowledge. Almost back to the record. So when they were not reusing boosters, the maximum number of boosters in a year was 13 new boosters in 2017. This year was 8 new boosters, but technically it's 10 because they have had 2 other boosters that they've tested but not launched yet. It's a whole thing. And recently they took out a third booster as well out of McGregor, like very recently, like hours ago. So that will be 11 new boosters this year, plus all of the second stages, because all of them are new. So that's 166 second stages that they have. So yeah, shout out to McGregor teams, because they also did a great job as well with that. But yeah, we want to go through numbers and everything if anybody wants to.
Sure. And
what stage was used the most?
See what we thought all the numbers were going to end up being, by the way.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
That.
Do we have the same crew? We had the same crew as last time. It's the first show of the year.
Can we not look at this, man?
Oh boy, Alex put the glasses on. It's about to get real.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah, so first of all, I should probably clarify this. So these were a series of polls that we did. We're working on a video. We never actually did the video, but we were asking our community. This was on the community tab of the channel, and we did a bunch of polls. And this one in particular, I think it was like, what are the potential Starship milestone are you looking forward the most in 2025? And well, ship catch won, and that did not happen. Orbital refueling, launches from Pad B. Do you remember when it was Pad B?
Oh yeah, not Pad
And,
2, Pad that, Pad whatever.
It's not pad that, it's that pad. Okay.
It's that pad.
Sorry,
pad.
this pad and that pad.
There's
My
this
bad.
pad and that pad, and then
You
the
know,
one at
I still prefer
39A is
Pad West.
No, it's pad south.
But it's west.
By
But
the way,
it's
can I just
slightly
point out,
south than the other. So
regardless of that, of all of these, 0 of them happened
none of
this
them
year.
happened.
I think. I think there was
Blame
some
me,
kind of
because-
event that may have influenced that.
Yeah.
About those launch dates.
Yeah, about those milestones. They
Yeah.
may delay a bit, right? So yeah, I was the one that sort of drafted these polls and everything. Obviously, I don't have access to the channel, so somebody else posted that. I think it was Crispy. Shout out, because he does a lot of these posts for the community and everything, and membership and everything. But yeah, that was one of the many different questions. I don't know if we may want to roll through others. But it sort of gives you an idea. There we go. How many launches of Falcon rockets do you think? This one was also very badly and very poorly written, because one of the answers was at least more than in 2024, and technically everything else is also more than in 2024. But yeah, so obviously it was the third option, 165 and 180.
Is it
Elon
though?
wanted more
We'll
than
see.
180.
We'll see, because right now it's it's at 165 exact, so it's technically B and C.
True.
So if Cosmos SkyMed doesn't go for some reason, then they're both right.
Yeah. Jack is in chat. Hi, Jack. But yeah, that was another one of those that I poorly redacted, and it was like, no, it's really bad. Should do a better job. I was gonna say, if anybody has any ideas, we're gonna do the first flame trench of the year. We're gonna do the same thing of like going through polls and everything. We're gonna look back on our predictions from the first flame trench of the year. So if you have any ideas, leave them in chat after the show, like in the comments or whatever you think. If you have a good idea for a poll question, put it whatever. We'll check back.
Someone in chat is right. As of this exact moment, it's A, B, and C.
Yeah, right. Well, it's already won. Like that's already there. And what private company do you think will be the next one to successfully land on the moon? And well, that was Firefly. Hakuto, our poor thing, it did not land. And then Blue Moon. It was supposed to be launched this year, but it never got that far. And then Astrobotic as well. But yeah.
God. Wow, that changed quite a bit from that poll.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, Firefly, that launched at the end of January, right? That landed pretty quickly after we made this poll.
Yeah, it launched in January. It landed, I think, early March, because it took the slow route and everything. But hey, it paid off, because it landed successfully.
Hakuto is on the moon.
Well, it says
a lot of
successfully,
pieces, right? But it's on the moon.
Successfully land on the moon, which is different.
Yeah, it says successfully. You're right. But it's on, so that's something. Blue Moon Mark 1, are we going to put that in the poll again next year?
Why wasn't Intuitive Machines on this poll?
Well, when I wrote this one, I assumed that you could consider IM-1, Intuitive Machines Mission 1, as successful landing-ish. It was horizontal, but it actually, the ironic thing is it actually did a lot more than the second mission, even though the second mission also ended with the lander horizontally. But that second mission was actually worse condition than the first one, so it did not do as much science, which is
Yeah, it actually provided some
quite
data
ironic.
while on its side.
Yeah, the first mission was actually quite interesting, right? That they were able to squeeze as much data. The other one survived only like 24 hours. It was pretty much dead after the landing, which it was not that useful. But the first one survived, I think, a week and a half or something like that, which was rather nice. All things considered. But
Dead
yeah,
Jim.
yeah.
So chat got that right, as did we.
Ooh, this one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, which U.S. rocket do you think will debut first in 2025? Spoiler alert, none of those. But yeah, the reason why I did not include their New Glenn, it was because this was like end of December. New Glenn was already tested. It was about to be on the pad and about to debut. It was assumed that unless something horrible were to happen, it was gonna debut anyways in 2025. It was a sure thing, right? So this was like, let's ask for the things that are not gonna be a sure thing, that it might be maybe happening in 2025. But yeah, a lot of people voted for Neutron. I think, you know, at least at the time, it seemed like it was the sure bet between all three. I'm on the side of Nova right now. I think it's gonna launch first.
I mean,
But we'll
so
see.
far of Rocket Lab with Neutron, we've seen the Hungry Hippo chomper fairing
Yeah.
and some pad
I like the
infrastructure.
sound of the closure. I should
Oh,
say
that's,
that.
it's so satisfying.
Now, I agree that the Hungry Hippo fairing is cool. Fellas, I got a question. Alex, actually, I want to put this one to you. Now, you
Okay.
think Nova? You said Nova's going to go before Neutron, yeah?
I think there's a good chance. It seems
Okay.
like Stoke is like
No, hold
recently.
up.
Okay. You go.
Do you think Terranar is going to launch before
Oh, no.
Nova?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Interesting. Do you think it's going to launch before Neutron?
No. I think it's gonna be Nova,
Damn.
Neutron, and Terran R. I'm sorry for Relativity.
Wow.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry, but I do think it's gonna be Stoke with Nova and then Neutron, and you know the reason why I say this is because the parts for Neutron were actually supposed to arrive in Virginia like in November, and before that it was supposed to be September. Before that, August, and by August I mean like when it was supposed to be August. I think there was some filing that was like around June when it was released, like 2 months earlier, right? So it's been slipping all the time, and I think they're still probably dialing in the fabrication of the first stage and things like that. I don't believe they have done a qualification test of the tank structures for the first stage. Second stage, it appears to be qualified from the structures point of view, but the first stage, I don't think I have not seen anything from Rocket Lab about that. And one of the things that Peter Beck said recently was they really want to go into orbit on the first flight. Like they have a no BS policy, I guess. When it comes to this.
I do like what he said. He guys, he goes, look, we're not gonna launch it and be like, oh, it's gonna get off the pad, and, you know, oh, look, mission success. No, we want it to get into orbit, and it's only successful if it gets into orbit because that's what we wanted it to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but also
No, yeah.
But
Yeah, I think the way that he talked about
right.
that was like a no
right.
BS policy. You know what BS means. But that's the thing, right? Like
yeah, breaking space.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Chris will yeah, we'll get mad about that. But that's the whole thing, right? Like it seems like maybe they're taking a little bit of extra time. We've seen the Hungry Hippo, which seems to also be qualified now, but we have not heard anything about the first stage. The second stage still needs to be static fire, although they're already making the moves to do that. I think it's gonna be the second one only because Stoke seems, apparently, or at least from what the vibes that they're giving me, at least when I see all of their activities and everything and all of the stuff that they are putting out, it's that they may be a little bit more risk tolerant. Like if the first flight fails and everything, they might be okay with that. They've been testing the Zenith engine, left, right, and center. It's gonna be pretty much like really well tested by the time it goes to the pad and everything. We just need to actually see the hardware, right? Just like with Neutron. But I think in the sense of what kind of hardware is acceptable for these companies to launch with, I think Rocket Lab will be more, like they're just gonna ask more of their hardware to perform, right? Like if it is just not good, they're not gonna launch it, right? And so that may delay things a bit. Like Sawyer said during Shift 36, right? Whereas Stoke may accept that, you know, it may fail, sure. So I think Stokes with Nova might launch first.
So
In this sense, I think Rocket Lab is moving a lot more like Blue Origin with New Glenn, where it was like we saw parts of the New Glenn first stage like April or May of like 2024, something like that, like almost a year before the debut, right? And it actually launched a year later, right? So like it may be something like that, where it's like they just take it methodically and try to get into orbit on the first flight. So yeah, we'll see.
So
By the
you
way-
think the rocket named Nova is going to launch first? Okay.
It will go, yeah. No go, yeah. I know what you did there.
All right.
But wait a minute, which one is launching from
I
Nova?
know
Northern
Spanish.
Virginia,
Something,
right?
You do?
yeah.
Wait, what'd
Oh,
you say,
boy.
Sora?
I said, which one is launching from Nova, Northern Virginia?
Is Wallops in Northern Virginia?
No, it's Eastern, but I needed it to sound good, okay?
All right, good enough. All right, I'll let you have that one.
Anyway, I do want to point out, apparently our answers in regards to Neutron and Nova during last year's show. How far will Neutron get? EJ said launch. I said fully integrated. We were wrong.
Yep.
How far will
Yeah,
I don't
Nova-
even remember what I said.
Yeah, yours wasn't even in there. Apparently, I
Yeah.
never gave an answer to Nova, because how far will Nova get? EJ said launch, and Alex
Oops.
said both stages tested.
Yeah, that was sort of my thinking at the time, because it's stainless steel and whatnot. They have upgraded things, so that's probably why they're taking more time. But we'll see.
Also, we got, apparently none of us ever actually gave our public answer to how many launches of Falcon, but chat did get it right, between 150 and 170. Let's see what the next poll is that we had there. Sorry to interrupt on that. It's just, I saw the numbers, I'm like, wait a minute. Are we really doing this?
Oh,
Yes.
come on.
The rocket's owner expands talks to buy and move the sun. So, yeah, it's a sports headline. It's basketballs. Anyway. Here we go.
This one.
Which international
Hammer made
rocket?
me do that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that
Steve.
has Kevin Humer written on all over it. You don't have to take his crap, you're in charge.
Let's see. Which international rocket do you think will debut first? Tianlong 3, Eris, RFA-1, or Zuku 3? Zoko, whatever. Land Space's rocket.
Yeah, only two of them actually launched,
Yeah.
and both of them landed technically.
Well, one and a few more pieces, yeah.
Yeah, one was a lot closer to the launch pad when it landed.
Yeah, the
That
ones
was
that
the
launched.
Ares.
Well,
Yeah, they.
I mean,
they had an accident.
it was close to its launch pad. Just one was closer to the landing pad, one was closer to the launch pad.
Okay, so these calling me out here in the back channel because I omitted ESARs. And the point here was that at the time, I think I didn't give them much credibility about them being ready for launch in 2025.
It also
I'm gonna be
launched
honest.
and landed.
True.
Yeah.
Yep, he's got a
also
point.
close to the
We-
launch pad.
We need to calculate which one got farther. Like, it was it Ares or the Spectrum rocket by ESAR? But yeah,
I mean,
we had
Ed-
RFA-1 as well there that didn't launch, unfortunately.
I will say,
Tianlong 3.
I think Eris loses in that one, given it didn't go super high, and it was mostly in one piece when it came
Yeah.
back down. So
Yeah, Jojo 3, that one actually went into orbit. And then, of course, the first stage even went through re-entry. It didn't land, unfortunately. But it hit very close to the target, so yeah. And then Tianlong 3, maybe debuting next month? We'll see.
I was very much impressed by land space and what they did recently. Again, to get that far with a Falcon 9 looking rocket that is actually methane is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what new rockets end up flying next
Is
year.
that-
Yes, Kevin, it's their return to launch site missions unintentionally, some of them.
Is that the last of the public polls?
Nope, we got more.
Or we have this one.
Which planned satellite constellation do you think will first reach 10% of planned satellites launched? Well, this one's obviously not correct anymore because Kuiper no longer exists. It's now Leo, by Amazon. Globestar Gen 3 by Globestar, Bluebird by AST Space, and that one by
Qianfan,
Shanghai Space
yeah.
Com Satellite Technology.
And none of them, actually, none of them. Globalstar Gen 3 has not been launched yet. Bluebird, they launched a few, but they still have the second generation. They're not there even yet to like 5%. And then the Qianfan and Kuiper, yeah. Like, Kuiper will need
Kuiper, I
like
think, right? I mean, Kuiper had 130-ish
180
in orbit now? 180.
Now, yeah, 180. But, you know, if that number were the 10%, then you multiply that by 10. That will be 1,800. It's actually closer to double that. So it's only 5% what they've launched so far for Amazon.
They need to have 50% of it up in orbit by July. So.
That is why it's, you know, that question, when I posed that question to our community, that 10% was not arbitrary. It was like, can you launch at least 10% in a year? Are you able to do that, right? Like, you have a planned satellite constellation. Are you able to do that, right? And the fact that only 2 of them actually launched any satellites this year, it's funny, but then also the fact that not even 10% of those satellites are in orbit right now. And it's like, you better hurry up. Meanwhile, Starlink is like, hi, we have thousands of satellites. And yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it was interesting, these questions, looking back at them. But yeah, we'll see if they end up getting to that, or what percentage we'll say they get to of their planned constellation, if they actually reach the 50% or not. I would even say by the end of the year, rather than actually hitting the deadline. But that's a whole nother debate. Are there more, or was that the last one, D?
That was it.
Cool. Well, we have some of our other predictions that we made during the show that we haven't discussed yet. So, there was one that said, how many new Glens will fly in 2025? Of which, Alex, you pulled an Alex answer and just faffed about and didn't give the actual number.
I'm going to be honest, I don't remember what I said. And I watched that episode this morning, and I don't even recall what I said.
I don't think you gave an answer. It's kind of the Alex answer. I said 3. EJ, you said more than 3.
Yep, I was wrong.
Chat said between 1 and 3, which is correct. It was exactly between 1 and 3. They launched 2. So, not bad, chat. I'll give you credit on that one. I'll be honest, I really thought they would be at 3. We also didn't know what was going to happen with stage 1 on that landing attempt on the first flight. I don't know if that set them back a bit.
Oh.
But I will say, I did not expect them to actually land on their second flight either. If that was a question, I wouldn't have put money
I
on
should
that.
say, though, because I remember, because I watched the episode, and I do remember that there was another question, technically not part of the poll system and everything that we did, but it was a question that we asked during that show, and it was about whether the first landing attempt was going to be successful or not. And I do remember EJ was like, man, it's going to be 100%. Yeah, it's going to be 100%. And I joked that it was going to be 50-50 because, of course, it either lands or it doesn't land, as I usually say. So, yeah, there you go.
I didn't say it was going to be 100%. I said it has to be 100%. They're going to land that. They have to land that stage.
I did say, and I remember this, that if they get close, like if they actually go through the ascent and everything, that they may actually try again on the second flight and actually nail it on the second flight. And lo and behold, that's what happened. Just saying.
I mean, yeah, you hit that one exact in that case.
But yeah, we'll see if any of the other things are true.
another one was asked, how many total rockets will fly in 2025? Chat said 250 to 280. EJ, you said 250 to 280. Alex, you said as many launches as days in the year. So
Well,
at least 365. And the correct answer, by the way, was as of the other day, 312.
I'm gonna, because this is from Jay who rewatched this, but I also I rewatched it, so I know my answer was that it could be that 2025 could become the first year that has more launches than days, and the reasoning that I gave was that SpaceX was aiming at the time for 180 launches. China was also aiming for more than 100, and we had all of these plans for ULA to do like 20 launches, and Blue Origin was like, oh yeah, we're gonna launch. Like a lot of people were making such promises of like, oh, we're gonna. So when you think about it in hindsight, now it's like, well, if you remove, this company did not do like 20 launches, and then this other didn't do 10, and then this, like, when you add up all of that, yeah, we are 312. We're probably gonna end roughly 320 something, right? That will be 40 launches away from 365, right? Like 40-ish. It's very close. And another thing that I said is like, if it doesn't happen in 2025, it'll happen in 2026, and I still stand by that 2026 has a really high chance of having that, but I'll reserve my thoughts about that for the first frame change of the year, because that's going to be the one about predictions for 2026.
And there was one more question that we discussed. Oh, I'm mad at my answer for this one. What will happen to Artemis in 2025? EJ said it will be heavily modified. I said heavily modified and delayed. Didn't get an Alex answer that one or anything from chat, but the correct answer was, well, no change. No news on the proposal for more landers, and Artemis 2 is on track for a launch in the original time frame, which is no later than April. Currently, I believe February 6th, 2026. So, yeah, we kind of botched that one pretty bad. I mean, admittedly, if there was one that I would have to botch, I'm glad that's the one where I was wrong.
Well, Sawyer, like, you got to think about where we were at the time. Like, there were new presidential administration, new administrator. I don't think that thinking that the Artemis program was going to change in any way, shape, or form, was it? That doesn't seem like that far-fetched of an answer. And wait a minute. To be 100% fair, why are we wrong? Because the deadline for landing by 2028 is a change.
It wasn't, the wording on it was heavily modified.
Yeah.
This is lightly modified.
Well,
I don't know. I might consider that a heavy modification.
Yeah, right? You're changing your landing date? That's kind of a big deal, right? Yeah, I'm with D on this one.
The only heavy thing that is being modified here is the lander. Got it? Because it's heavy.
Yeah.
Weight has nothing to do with it.
I love the fact that even the 3-box thing was the same as today's show. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I was wearing a similar shirt.
Yeah, when it... Oh, yeah.
You got the sweater.
Yeah, that was the other one, because this is like dark blue. The other one is lighter blue. Yeah.
Anyway.
Also with Jared as well.
I'm excited to see...
Sorry, non-denominational astronaut sticking out of a non-SpaceX capsule. Just for...
We need to match again next year. We'll just have to remember that.
Yeah, right?
Let me thank some people here. Schmorgans saying, come up at Sebastian. Tandem is $200 and you can time it during the launch. They are sick. Ooh, interesting. Indian River County there. Jim Yoder, would you rather NSF skydive or vomit comet? Vomit comet. Calling it. Speaking from experience, I will do that again any and every day.
I'll clap you from the ground. I'll cheer and everything.
Jim Yoder is saying, also 2 Old Glen flights, Mercury Atlas 6 and STS 95. Nice. And Bideford coming in saying, on the 6th night of Hanukkah, my son decides to be super special and wish me a Merry Christmas. So here, I don't feel guilty celebrating both. Thank you, everyone, for all the Christmas wishes. Well, thank you. That is so sweet. And thank you, everyone watching, for allowing us to do what we do. This has been one of NSF's best years ever, and my best year with the company for sure. Of the 3 years I've been here, we were able to do so much. The number of events we covered, just look at the back of the tour shirt that we did of all the different places that we've been to. How many of those were added this year? The coverage we've been able to do with the number of launches, the fact that we were able to keep up and broadcast almost every single one of them where we had people there is unbelievable. And of course, a thank you to the members you saw there, the launch directors and flight engineers, some of the highest level of support that we have here. It's you guys that empower us to do what we do. It's the reason why we're not sitting here talking to ourselves the whole time about this. We at least have people watching along and chatting with us. So thank you, everyone. And let me thank the team that was here. EJ, thank you for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I know it's a privilege being on here. Hope everybody has a good holiday, good end of the year. I stream over on Twitch. I'm not going to be doing so much streaming towards the end of the year here because of the holidays and stuff. But yeah, in 2026, we'll hit it guns blazing. So if you want to go hear more of what I have to say about this stuff, however how crazy it is, yeah, you can catch me over there if you don't see me here on NSF First.
Also, thank you, Alex, for joining.
It's always a pleasure, and of course, happy holidays, felices fiestas, and a happy new year, feliz año nuevo, for everybody, and for your support as well.
And a big round of applause and thank you to D-Wise producing their first Flame Trench on the air and second to ever public NSF stream. Thank you, D. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I am honored to be amongst some of the most amazing people here at NSF. It is an honor to be your host. Chat, you are some of the best out there. It's an honor to be with you. Let's go watch Twists, and we will see you in the new year.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Bring in speed off. Off. It's orange! 145! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage. Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.